Hey everyone, welcome back. March 15th of 2025, the Ides of March. My name is Derek, and in today's video, we're going to touch on this riddle I've been talking about the last couple days regarding Michael Jordan and the Pi Day total lunar eclipse that we just had. My last video on this channel was on a pile-up that occurred within hours of the Pi Day eclipse. And this happened in Austin, Texas, which is a city highly connected to the Jesuit order. The same Jesuit order that gave us Pope Francis. Well, I flicked on the news this morning down at the United Center. Now, this apparently was the result of a concert on March 8th by the rock band Disturbed. However, this story didn't make any national news outlets until March 14th. Pi Day, 6 days after the concert, we find out that these banners were damaged by pyrotechnics, forcing them to be taken down. So we're going to talk about the numerology of this story and why Disturbed, who is also from Chicago, Illinois, was the band that did this, as the lead singer David Draiman is highly numerically connected to the Pope. And in yesterday's video, I talked about the connections with the eclipse and the state of Israel. And indeed, David Draiman is Jewish. So he's connected to this larger riddle, as we will explore. Now, on Thursday night, just a couple of hours before the start of that total lunar eclipse, the Chicago Bulls hosted the Brooklyn Nets at the United Center. And they won that game 116 to 110. In the language of Gematria, the word pi sums to both 110 and 11, which essentially matches the Brooklyn Nets score. Pi also equals 16, and the Bulls ended up with 116 points. Of course, again, the Bulls, Jordan's old team, Jordan the man, extremely connected through the pi code to the lunar eclipse. And for a quick glance as to how, this all goes through the number 314, the first three digits of pi. 314 months, which is the number of months between Francis's and Jordan's birthday, is also 26 years and 62 days. 2662 with that 314 Gematria. And all of these numbers connect Jordan to the Pope and the Pi Day eclipse. So, on the same night as the eclipse, March 14th, the Street Profits won the WWE Tag Team Championships. This within a day of the Bulls' championship banners being destroyed. Now, why does this connect to the Chicago Bulls? Well, for this episode of WWE SmackDown, the company visited Barcelona, Spain. And Spain, the first promo of the show was LA Knight, and he came out and called the crowd Los Toros, which means the Bulls. It's also the nickname of the Spanish football team. So WWE was definitely synced to this as well. If you add the number of points in the Bulls game right before the eclipse, you get a total sum of 226 points. And that's why I should double check my math before I do this. We'll come back to the Bulls, but let's talk about the Street Profits. In Latin Gematria, this team name sums to 775. This is the same value as the name Jordan. Jordan equals 775. This also matches the value of the number 11. 11 is 775. And this concert where the championship banners were damaged on March 8th. This was exactly 11 months after the Great American Solar Eclipse back in April of last year. Furthermore, in the base methods, the street profits sums to 223. This was immediately after the Bulls defeated the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn, New York, the city that the team represents, equals 223. But what about this? The street profits in Latin Gematria. Notice how their team name equals 888. This was a huge number of focus in my video yesterday, as Pope Francis was a span of 88 years and 88 days for the Pi Day eclipse. The first 3 digits of pi is 3.14, which also shares this 888 with the street profits. The street profits also have numerical connections to Michael Jordan. Notice how Montez Ford, born on May 31st of 1990. From that date to Michael Jordan's birthday is a span of 9,966 days old. So here we get an upside-down 66, followed by a regular 66. And this is a huge number for the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls were founded in the year 66. When you write out Bulls, it sums to 66. The word lunar, also 66. And in Latin ordinal, the word eclipse, also 66. Now, of course, we recognize 666 as the number of the beast. And in Latin Gematria, number of the beast equals 724, which is the birthday of the other member of the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins, born on 724. This brings us back to the Gematria of Pi Day Eclipse, which equals 666. So, with this WWE synchronicity out of the way, let's go back to this rock star Disturbed. David Draiman, the lead singer of Disturbed, and how his numerical connections give us this story, essentially. So, the big number with Michael Jordan is 23. His initials MJ. 13 plus 10, that sums to 23. He went to North Carolina, which equals 203, and then wore number 23 for the Bulls, after which he played for the Washington Wizards, which equals 230. Pi Day, 230 in Satanic. This 23 is also shared with the rock band Disturbed from Chicago, 203 with capital letters, matching the sum of total lunar eclipse in the alphabetic order. My video yesterday talked about this car crash in Austin, and the man arrested for this incident was named Solomon. So this video goes into a Solomon's Temple riddle. As I mentioned in that video, Solomon's Temple equals 185. And David Draiman, who's Jewish, has Hebrew Gematria of 185, using his full name, David Michael Draiman. But we'll see how this all connects to the state of Israel. This concert on March 8th was held 298 days, or a span of 299 after Israel's anniversary. From May 14th last year to the date of the show gives us 298 days, or a span of 299. With capital letters, the singer David Michael Draiman equals 299. And let's not lose sight of the fact that his first name is David, whereas the flag of Israel uses the Star of David. Well, from Israel's establishment to the birth of David Draiman was exactly 298 months. You could also say he was born on the first day of the 299th month since its founding. State of Israel equals 298 in that same cipher. And this concert was held on the date leaving 298 days in the year. Now, there's more to see with the numerology of Israel. But first, I want to look at how David Draiman is synced up to the moon. The singer of Disturbed was born on a date with numerology of 108, 36, and 27. Now, the number 108 is of utmost significance to the geometry of the Earth-Moon-Sun system. The word geometry, in fact, summing to 108 in multiple ciphers. The father of geometry, Euclid, even has this value. Also 36 and 27. The moon equals 36 and 27 as well. But also notice how all three of these numbers are found in the gematria of the word banner. 108, 36, and 27. And at this concert, the Bulls' championship banners were burned and had to be removed. So on the date of the show, David Draiman was on an exact lunar and sidereal count. What we're looking at here is the two measurements based on the moon, the lunar phase and the sidereal month. Now, only about once per year do these counts sync up. And David Draiman, both an exact lunar count and sidereal month. 643, 695. So, basketball has been in the news recently, connected to pi, because Stephen Curry just made his 4,000th three-point shot, the all-time leader in threes. Not only was Steph Curry born on March 14th, or Pi Day, but he was also born in the year 88. And the year 88, which is made up of 4 circles, is the first year that Pi Day was celebrated. This is credited to mathematician Larry Shaw. Well, the city of Chicago sits on the 88th western meridian. Disturbed singer David Michael Draiman has 88 gematria in reduction. However, if you use just his common name, David Draiman, we find that not only does it match 3.14, he was also born 2 months, 24 days after the Pope's birthday, matching his name and this value. The Society of Jesus, also with the 224. On top of that, the name David Draiman, I knew I was going to screw that up and say Dravid at some point. David Draiman. His last name kind of sounds like dreidel, doesn't it? Anyway, 55 and 80 matching Pi Day. And I should probably throw it out there that I actually do really like Disturbed's music. I haven't heard much of theirs recently, but this is one of those bands that used to really fire me up back in the day. So let's now look at the connection between Draiman and Jordan, both representing the city of Chicago. We start with the phrase Pi Day Eclipse. In addition to the 666, we also see the 124 in the alphabetic order. Michael Jordan was born 10 years and 24 days before Draiman. However, this is also a span of 10 years and 25 days. In the Fibonacci cipher, David Michael Draiman equals 1025. So he's born 25 days after Jordan's birthday. Well, this concert was held just one day after Disturbed's debut record turned 25 years old. In the alphabetic order, the word pi equals 25. Just like the current calendar year, 25. When Pi Day was first celebrated, it was one day after Michael Jordan was 25 years and 25 days old. When Jordan won the last championship banner that Draiman would later burn down, the singer was 25 years old. Israel equals 205, 3.14, 250. Jordan won 6 championship banners, and the number 6 also 25. Well, the 25th prime number is 97. And David Draiman was born 9,070 days after the founding of Israel. Israel was founded on May 14th, or 514. Well, the 514th prime number is 3677, and look at the number of days between Jordan's and Draiman's birthdays. 3,677. Now, this 3677 also points to the 73rd prime number, 367. The word banners equals 73 in the alphabetic order. And 73 is the year that Draiman was born. In fact, his birthday is March 13th, which falls just one day before Pi Day. Pi Day, the 73rd day of the year. The words perfect and number both equal 73. And don't forget, Michael Jordan was born under a lunation with a perfect number on it. That's right, Michael Jordan, born during Brown lunation 496. The number 496 is a perfect number. Just looking at the chat quick before I go into the numbers 666. Well, the singer's name was Draiman with an M, not Draven. I'm not saying there's not a sync to Eric Draven, but I'm not going to go down that road. And yeah, everything in this video is a follow-up to what I did yesterday with the Pope in the Bulls jersey. There we showed you how Israel was founded during lunation 314. And it's Cody in the chat who did a really good job talking about this riddle a few days ago. You know, Israel was also founded on the 135th day of the year. The phrase lunar eclipse equals 135. The 135th prime number is 761. And on the date of the lunar eclipse, on Pi Day, Israel turned 76 years and 10 months old exactly, 761. Again, the eclipse on the same date as the lunation the state was founded under. Another thing I pointed out too is that Israel was 4,009 weeks old for the Pi Day eclipse. And in 3 different ciphers, the word pi equals 49. All right, so as we showed, mathematics of the circle, mathematical perfection, and Pi Day eclipse, all with 666 Latin Gematria. And on the date of this concert, when the banners were burned by pyro, look at Michael Jordan's age, 22,666 days. Jordan was also 62 years, 2 weeks, and 6 days old. And the name Jordan equals 62 and 26. Jordan also had the 238 in his age for the number of weeks. His name is 238, just like United Center, the arena the concert was held at, and 666. Now, mind you, this 666 alignment with Jordan is something I discussed even before the date of this concert. On March 5th, 3 days before the banners were burned, I discussed Michael Jordan and his team 2311 Racing, where I pointed out this major alignment. And no, Jordan's drivers did not win this race. But we did get a pretty interesting riddle with this news story, didn't we? The 666 is the number of the beast. The beast equals 521 in standard gematria. The Society of Jesus also has this value, 521. Disturbed lead singer David Draiman was 52 years and 1 day old for the Pi Day eclipse. And that was a week after he burned down the Chicago Bulls championship banners, which equals 521. Draymond's 313 birthday also matches the ordinal value of 603 score and 6. His birthday can also be written as 13/3. And this is like the number of days between his and Jordan's birthdays, 10 years, 3 weeks, and 3 days, 133. So what this means is that when Francis became the Pope, it was on David Draymond's 40th birthday. And just think about this digit 4 in relation to David Draymond of Disturbed. David Draymond of Disturbed, we're talking a lot about the letter D here. And D is the 4th letter. He turned 40 years old for the Pope. The 40th prime number is 173. This is a number significant to the Jesuits, whose Latin phrase ad maiorem Dei gloriam equals 173 in ordinal. Pope Francis, born during lunation 173. Got a few more notes here in the post, which you can find linked below. Another thing I forgot to point out was the Bulls' founding date in relation to this 116 points they scored just before the eclipse. The Chicago Bulls were founded on the date January 16th. 116. To go along with the 66 that we looked at so feverishly earlier. Also, Chicago is in the state of Illinois. And Illinois is the intersection of the American solar eclipses over the past 8 years. So here we see the intersection of the 2017 and 2024 eclipses. This is southern Illinois. I know it's kind of hard to see here, but you got St. Louis, Missouri up there with southern Illinois. The nearest large city to the eclipse paths was Carbondale. Carbon is the sixth element on the periodic table. Carbon 6. And if you go to the date of the first eclipse and add 6 years, 6 months, 6 weeks, and 6 days to that date, well, you arrive at the date of the second eclipse, April 8th of last year. So it's no mistake, certainly, that Carbondale was the nearest city to this intersection. The state of Illinois also has the upside-down 66 to go along with the bulls. So even though we're talking about a lunar eclipse, you know, we're still within a year of these two great American solar eclipses. And once again, these banners were damaged exactly 11 months after the second eclipse. "11" matching Jordan, matching the Street Profits. And if you want to find out more about this connection between the number 11 and the name Jordan, I did a really good video in January of this year talking about Jordan Love's last game where he lost against the Bears. And the Bears won to prevent an 11-game loss streak. And I think they came into the game with 11 straight losses against the Green Bay Packers. There was a lot to do with that. The last name Love also has this same 775, so Jordan Love is super synced with that. In fact, Jordan Love was drafted into the NFL, I think it was just 4 days after the new Jordan documentary came out on Netflix called The Last Dance, which was the first day of Taurus, the bull sign. So the country falls back in love with Jordan, and then Jordan Love gets drafted 4 days later, is what happened back in 2020. All right, so that just about covers it. 2 more things I want to mention before I end this video. This recent Pi Day eclipse belonged to Lunar Saros series 123. So maybe that's why a rock and roll concert was involved here. When The Last Dance came out in 2020, it came out during Brown Lunation 1203. Another number that kept popping up here is 235. 3.14 equals 235, just like the Society of Jesus. In standard Gematria, Israel equals 235. And on the same date as the eclipse, just hours before, the Bulls beat the Brooklyn Nets. And Nets equals 235. And look at how many losses the Chicago Bulls have all time. 23-35. So, seems like anything but a coincidence. All right, everyone. Well, that'll do it for this video. Again, if you missed my one from yesterday on the big connections with the Pope, the Bulls, Michael Jordan, and the big pileup just as the Pi Day eclipse began, definitely check that out. But that'll do it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Whether you're watching live or archived, please feel free to support your YouTube creators by liking and subscribing, or better yet, if you'd like to support the work and keep us online both this channel and gematrinator.com. Check out the links for support. Become a member and supercharge your decoding powers. Peace, love, God bless. We'll talk to you all next time. See ya.